listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, your boy Pat Lane here with my good friend Matt St. Jean. And Matt, we're here to talk about the Patriots, but the Celtics have staved off elimination in a ridiculously improbable game, one of the worst basketball games you'll ever watch. But you know what? It doesn't matter. There's going to be a Game 7 in Boston on Sunday.
Never in doubt, Pat. Never in doubt. Hey, you know what? A win is a win, and you know what? We got Tatum showing up and giving enough good basketball at the end. The first 2.5 quarters, they looked really good. If not for an abysmal 15-minute stretch there, I think you feel pretty good if you go into Philly, come out with a win with Tatum playing like garbage, where you lead by 16 points. Like that looked like you were on track for what felt like a really comfortable win. Then the wheels fall off. You swiftly reattach them right before the bike falls over and survive. And we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Well, I got to tell you, I almost think if you're the Sixers, I think losing this way is way worse than getting blown out because it was about, that was it. If you got blown out, then it's like, hey, we're back. It's fine. No big deal. Like they had this game won. The Celtics were playing like garbage. And, and Tatum, was 1 for 11 at one point. He was like 0 for 6 from 3. He was just awful, dreadful.
And he hung in there. And
right.
Sometimes, I don't know, it's any other play and you're like, all right, when are you going to take him out? But it's Jason Tatum. Eventually he's going to hit something. Even if he's having a bad night, he's going to hit something. The looks were open and
right.
He just found that gear. And that's, I think the Sixers didn't put in a basket for I don't know. It was more than the last 5 minutes of the game.
It was real bad. Yeah, they scored right at the end, down 9, but it was just ridiculous. Yeah. Dark Gold says Tatum was 1 for 14 before the transformation in the fourth quarter, which is crazy. Also, shout out to Dark Gold, who's up at 3 a.m. watching us from across the pond. I just look, man. You have to as hard and by people that follow me on Twitter, right? I tweeted out, "Is Jason Tatum the worst player in the Celtics?" I don't think Jason Tatum is the worst player in the Celtics. Obviously, if you've been following me at all, number one, I react ridiculously when teams are playing, and number two, it's a joke, people. He's obviously not I'm not saying Jason Tatum. I could have said Jason Tatum is losing the game for the Celtics right now. I didn't say that because I'm like, okay, that's negative. If I say something stupid like that, everyone's going to know that that's the dumbest thing. Clearly, he's not the worst player on the team. Obviously, in the first half, really in the first 3 quarters, he played like a bench player. He played like a bench player in the first 2 quarters, and then in the fourth
even
quarter,
worse. He played like Ben Simmons. He was afraid.
Oh God, that's terrible. But you're right. He did. And then he played like a first-team All-NBA player in the fourth quarter.
Jeez.
And when you needed it the most, he stepped up and saved the season. And to me, that if you're Philly, man, that just absolutely crushes your soul. And to come back from that on a Game 7 is tough, Yeah.
So, and it's, I don't know what to expect from Game 7. I'm going in with just kind of, all right, we're going to see. I don't,
right.
And there is not an outcome that would even remotely surprise me in this one. So I don't know, we'll see. But we got at least one more game here. So prolonging the long summer until the Patriots return with only the Red Sox for at least a couple more days.
Exactly. All right, let's jump right into the schedule here. And so
can we? I want to start a little bit earlier than the regular season. I want to talk about these preseason games very briefly here because this is a weird preseason.
It is a very strange one, isn't it?
The games, first game's at home against Houston, then they go to Green Bay, and then they go to Tennessee. They're doing joint practices out in Green Bay. I think they're doing them with Tennessee, or at least
that was the word supposedly that they were going to. Yeah.
Have they ever played any of these 3 teams in the preseason?
I'm almost positive they played Tennessee. No, I'm almost positive they played Tennessee 2-3 years ago. They played Tennessee a few years ago in the preseason. I remember because Spags went to that preseason game.
It was a road
Tennessee.
one. I remember
it was
that
a
one.
road game in Tennessee. Yep. So they have played in Tennessee before, but it's interesting because they didn't finish with the Giants, and they normally do. But I think now that you get the bye after that last game, I think it doesn't matter as much. Oh, Dark Blue Gold says August 18th, 2019.
Yeah, so it's they have it here in the release. It's the second time they played Houston. They did it in 2017.
Okay.
At Houston, and that was I remember that next. They played at Houston, and they went there, and there was still the confetti from the Super Bowl. I remember they tweeted that out and finding that under the bench.
And they started the season. Then they started the season with Houston at home. In 2017, did they not?
2018.
No, because Cooks caught the touchdown pass. Wasn't that 2017?
No, that was 2017, but that was like week 3 or 4. That was week 4, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm saying. Didn't you say they played in Houston in 2017?
They played in Houston for the preseason game in 2017.
Right. I think it was the home. I think that was the home opener, though. I think it was game 3, but I'm pretty sure it was the home opener against Houston.
Either
Cooks
that
caught
or
the touchdown pass in the corner.
I think it might have been game 4 right after the Carolina loss. They won the Super Bowl the year before. The home opener was the Chiefs game.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah. And then the last time the Patriots and Packers met in the preseason at Gillette was 2015, and it's the last time they met. And in 2019 for the Titans. They've played all 3 of these before, but it's weird to see a preseason that looks like this with no Giants on it.
Right. It's really strange. I mean, that's one of the, but.
And they get rid of the 4th game, and yeah. So an odd preseason. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but it'll be interesting. I mean, we'll get to see a little Jordan Love here. You're going to get to see whatever the Titans bring out, which I think could be an interesting prep for the Eagles in week 1. And you get to see a little CJ Stroud there. Oh, we're going to get to watch the first football with CJ Stroud.
It's true. It's a great point.
Yeah, front row seat. And then he's going to throw a pick to Christian Gonzalez on his first play. It's going to be amazing.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? By the way, that Texans game was week 3 in 2017, but it was not you're right. The Chiefs game was the first home game. And they played in New Orleans. They played in New Orleans week 2.
They beat them up that game. Yep. Week 4 was the Panthers home game.
And then week 4 was the Panthers home game. They lost. Yep. So
all right.
Anyways, all right. So yes, weird preseason, which leads us though into the Eagles on opening day. Man, it is tough to start any worse. Like having any more difficult game to start. Maybe you could have the Chiefs, but to have the Eagles at home, 425. Tom Brady's coming back. They already announced that they're honoring Tom Brady at halftime. They're going to do a whole thing for him. It's going to be pretty cool. And so, which is awesome. But it's like opening up against Philly is not easy. That's a good defense. That's a good offense. It's going to be a real tough test for the Patriots, like right away. So we'll see.
And I look at Riley Reif or Calvin Anderson or whoever ends up winning that tackle job opposite Trent Brown. It's going to be a huge game because Philly has depth on the edge. I mean, the whole offensive line, you're going to have everything. The whole Georgia defense that Philly brings in the front 7 there, plus all the other guys who are good. So the offensive line is going to have to step up. That's a game you're going to have to win in the trenches on both sides of the ball with how Philly likes to run too. So it's a tough game, but I welcome the challenge. It's 425 on CBS. So one interesting thing, because I know there's a little bit more ambiguity with the networks this year. So with Philly being the visiting team, NFC, this is usually a Fox game. No, it's on CBS this year. You probably get Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, the big broadcast crew. All eyes are going to be on you for this one. And with the fancy new renovations in the stadium too. And Patriots don't need to win for us to feel good about this one, but you want to be competitive. This is one you can't get blown out in your own building in a situation like this and feel good about it. That's for sure.
Agreed. All right, so we're doing it. Are we winning this game or losing? What do you think?
I can't predict a win against a team that was just in the Super Bowl. It wouldn't shock me. I think they have the ability to do it, but I think this is one of those games that's close for most of it, and Philly ends up making it a 2-score game late.
Agreed. So Patriots start 0-1, according to us. Patriots start 0-1. I would think most people would choose that, and so we'll go from there. And again, I think you're right, though. They don't have to win. For us to feel good about this team, they don't have to win. You just have to play well. And even if you end up losing by 10 points, by keeping it close the whole time, you at least give yourself a chance, right? And Dark Blue Gold does make a good point. It's better to face them right away than once they're up to speed. And maybe, the Patriots defense is up to speed earlier, and, they play better against the Eagles, and they're able to kind of, slow them down a little bit more than they will maybe towards the end of the year. So, but
yeah. And I think when I look at that, probably the most comparable opponent to Philly is what Baltimore did last year. I remember how that game went, but that was also a game where you saw the offense sputtering because it was self-inflicted errors. And the defense couldn't stop the run, but no Lawrence Guy, no Kyle Duggar in that one. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's a fully healthy group for this one. We'll see. This is the type of game where you really wish you had Marte Mapu as a little bit of depth there. We'll see where he's at in his injury recovery process, if he's ready to go at this point. You'd love to have him out there. But this is a nice test of the run defense to see what those guys have been doing. And if you can stay physical in the trenches defensively, I'm going to feel pretty good about it.
Agreed. So week 2, Miami Dolphins at home, Sunday night football. Tua and company come into town Sunday night. It's interesting because, and we'll talk about the Dolphins again later on when they play them again, but typically they bookend the season with the Dolphins, and they don't this year, which I think is interesting. And I don't know why, but it's interesting. And so
they're breaking from the norms. I like it. I like that it's something a little bit different than usual.
I agree with that. Look, the Dolphins are a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're a very good team. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. They have, all the weapons on offense. They have this, they have that, blah, 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 whatever. I'm penciling this one. With very fine pencil, I'm penciling this one as a win. I think, for whatever reason, I think the Patriots are going to at least split with the Dolphins this year, and I think that this is the one that they win, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them lose in Miami later in October.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I think this is frustrating for the Patriots in some ways because they've had issues with Tua. We still haven't seen Belichick beat Tua, which is wild because I don't think Tua is actually that good. I think it's a scheme thing, and you got some really rough losses in there, some really unlucky losses in there.
Right.
But you would think you're playing the Dolphins, and with how injury prone he's been, you'd like to face him a little bit later in the season when he might be beat up. Probably get the fully healthy Dolphins team here. Week 2, you're going to have to face that whole thing. Really good test again for the defense. I look at these first 2 weeks of the season, and it's Christian Gonzalez. All right, we might find out what he is right away. He is going right into the if he starts, they're throwing him right into the fire here, and we'll see if he's up for the task. His speed against Miami could be huge. You could see Jonathan Jones and Christian Gonzalez together getting a lot of run to combat the speed. Miami's defense, on the flip side, I don't trust it. I'm not sure how good Jalen Ramsey is at this point in his career. You should be able to put up points in this game. And it might sound weird, but this to me is almost the redo of the Chicago Bears game last year. Because you go back to the Bears game and you look at where that was at the point in the season, and Mac Jones coming back, and they break out the old silver pants, and it felt like, all right, that was Robert Kraft trying to say, hey, we're prime time and the dynasty's back. And then it just falls apart. And now you're starting off the season with 2 good teams, 2 games where everybody's going to be watching. This one's in prime time, a fancy new stadium. This is your Sunday night game. This is your opportunity to immediately announce, hey, we're back. This is not the Patriots you saw last year. This is not the Patriots offense you saw last year. Make a statement in the AFC and the AFC East. And I think they get it done. I think the offense has a really nice day.
I like that. So two good points. Dark Blue Gold here says that they avoid the extreme heat in Miami, playing in Foxborough first, which is nice, but then also avoid playing down there in December when it's different seasons, right? And that's always difficult to combat. And then Thad Skywalker does make a good point that Vic Fangio is a good defensive coordinator, right? And so that does worry me a little bit. But I don't know how good they are on defense. I just don't know if I trust them. And so I think the Patriots are going to win that game. We'll see. But I think the Patriots can win that game. Now, the next game, the first away game of the season in New York, or more accurately, New Jersey.
Rutherford, New Jersey.
Against the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. And I'm going to tell you, I think the Patriots are going to win this game. I really do. I think Rodgers is cooked. And I think – so here's the thing. I do think that there's a better chance that the Jets like kind of blow up towards the end of the season than the beginning of the season. But it also wouldn't surprise me to see Rodgers come out slow and not play super well. And then, take a few weeks to get things figured out with the Jets. And I think that the Patriots can win this one.
Oh yeah, well, so Pat, who was the big quarterback last offseason who got traded?
Short guy, unlimited potential. No, yes, I mean listen. I can't compare him to Russell Wilson.
But hear me out. So Russell Wilson's guys right last year. Who was his head coach in Denver?
Oh man, Jesus! Oh God, I forgot about that. Yes, Nathaniel Hackett's the OC there, isn't he? Oh,
he's now the OC of the Jets. That offense in Denver last year was bad, and it's the same guy calling the plays here for the Jets. And the Jets on paper are incredibly talented. Arguably could be the best team in the division. I don't know how I feel about the coaching staff over there. You got a quarterback who's older. Should the Jets beat the Patriots twice next season? On paper, absolutely. I'm not going to ever predict the Jets to beat the Patriots until I see them actually do it. The way these teams have gone against each other. I'll tell you right now, I'm taking the Patriots to sweep the Jets next year, even though the Jets are probably a better team, because I'm not going to trust it till I see it. So that's a 2-1 start. I think you have to win at least one of these first three. You start the season 0-3, you're feeling real bad. Win one of them, win one of them, you're hanging in there. Win two, you feel good. Go 3-0, and I think we're getting the victory parade going a little bit early.
Cue the duck boats. So apparently, Dark Gold said the Jets are playing the Bills week 1, the Cowboys week 2, and then the Patriots week 3. Talk about a gauntlet. That's tough. I mean, I know the Patriots aren't as scary as the Jets are, but on paper, blah blah. But
we talk about how hard the Patriots schedule is this year. It's like that for everybody in the AFC East. It's like that for everybody in the AFC. All these teams are good, and just big picture, because all these teams are good, it might only take 9 wins to get into the playoffs because everybody's going to be beating up on each other. There aren't really teams handing out free wins in the AFC this year, and depending on what division you get in the NFC. We'll see. They could be more competitive than you think. So,
yep, agreed.
It's a 9 wins. You could be in there.
Right. I don't know who Jerome Hunter is, or the Jerome Hunter fan club, but he's upset with you.
Jerome Hunter is a Xavier basketball player. This is the Jerome Hunter fan club account. So
they hate Boston apparently.
Believe he's a Cleveland fan.
Sorry. So, and Thad, you're right that Rodgers had his MVP seasons with Hackett at OC. You're not wrong, but they had some stability there in offense, in Green Bay, so on and so forth. So, and look, it's not going to be as much of a disaster as it was last year in Denver. That's impossible for it to be that much of a disaster.
And the defense is better.
Right. So, all right. Next up, week 4 in Dallas, 4:25 game in Dallas. This one's tough. The Dallas is tough, man, because I feel like Dallas is a really good team, but then I also feel like Dallas isn't that good of a team. Like, they're good, but they're not like, oh my God, the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about the Cowboys, Matt. Tell me how to think about the Cowboys. I don't know.
I never know. And I think there's questions about the coaching there. They don't have bad coaches. Nobody knows if their coaches are good, though. There's questions about how much juice the offense has. The defense will be good. It's Micah Parsons alone. He could ruin your day. Yeah. So they're going to have to come up with some answers for him. But this is a winnable game. This, to me, in some ways feels like, the game against Minnesota last season, where it's a nice to have, but not a need to have unless you're losing other games you shouldn't.
Right.
Also, from a TV perspective, this is 4:25 Eastern. This is a Fox game, which this would usually be a CBS game because it's the AFC team on the road, but that's switched up this year, which that'll be interesting. I don't know. I think we'll have a good game.
Yeah.
I think these are two competitive teams. I think it should be close. I think a lot of these games should be close. I'll take the Patriots to win because I think they've generally done well versus the Cowboys, but no result here would surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go. So we got in 3-1 through the first four.
Can I add? I want to add another. I want to add in another note here too, especially with Week 5 being a home game.
Do it.
Week 1 at home, the team is going to be wearing navy blue. Week 2 at home against the Dolphins, we might see the throwbacks come out. Otherwise, that's a navy blue game. Game 3 on the road, the Jets usually wear white at home early in the season, so navy blue. Week 4, Cowboys wear white at home, so navy blue. Week 5, you're at home again. Throwbacks or navy. The Patriots could wear their home uniform for the first 5 games to start this season.
That'd be crazy. You're right. That's a good point. Dark Blue Gold asked a question about the Silver Pants. Do you think they'll fire up the Silver Pants in the Brady opening game? Let me tell you something. About the Silver Pants. Okay, the Patriots should switch permanently to the Silver Pants. I understand that the only time they wore them, they got blown out by the Bears. I get it. It looks so much better when they're wearing the silver pants as opposed to when they're wearing the blue pants. It's just like, it's not a color rush game. We don't need to be wearing the same color. Like the silver and dark blue looks great. And like, it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They got 9 home games. Give us 5 with the silver pants, 2 with the blue pants, and 2 in the throwbacks. And that's perfect. Which I bet, to answer Dark Blue Gold's question there, I think that Miami game, the Week 2 game, I think we see either the silver pants or the throwbacks. I don't know which, but I think we see one of them. I think they go regular blue on blue for the opener, unless they're switching their home uniform to the silver and making the blue pants the alternate.
Right. And we'll see what they decide to do. But to me, it's just like, it looks so much better. And it's so funny because my 2 buddies went to that game with me, and I was all excited about the silver pants. I'm like, they're wearing silver pants. And they were like giving me crap about it because they're like, that's stupid. Like, who cares? It's silver pants. And then they came out in the silver pants, and they were like, oh, wow, it looks way better. Yeah. I was like, I told you it's going to look better.
It works. Like, it looks good. It looks like it works together. So,
correct.
I don't think the blue pants are bad. Just, we got some options here. Let's work with the variety that we got.
Right. So, and then back-to-back games against Derek Carr's current team and Derek Carr's former team. So first is home against the Saints on October 8th, 1:00 game.
Jonnu Smith revenge game.
You got to win that freaking game. I'm sorry. You have to win that game. You have to beat the Saints. Like, you can't lose to the New Orleans Saints at home. That can't happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's another theme here too. You look at 3 of the first 5 games of the season are against teams that Mac played early in his rookie year, and they lost to. The Dolphins week 1, a game they should have won, they lose. Game against the Cowboys should have won, they lose. Game against the Saints was never really that competitive. That's why I call this the Jonnu Smith revenge game, because of the pick 6 he caused in that one. You got to find a way to win this. Ideally, you want to win all 3 of those games I just talked about, but you got to win at least 2 of them. The Saints one has to be one of them. And this team, it's just not that good. The defense should be good. This should be well coached. So, I think this will be close. I think it'll be tough. I think it'll be physical. I don't think it'll be an easy win, but I think it's one you have to come out on top of.
How about this for an anomaly? You ready for this? The show ponies, where's the beef? Kembrell Tompkins touchdown catch in the corner of the end zone. Okay. I was not at that game because I was attending a wedding of my friends. The disastrous Jonnu Smith game against the Saints. I was not at that game because I was attending a wedding. This year's Saints game, I will not be attending that game because my sister-in-law is getting married. The last 3 times the Saints have been in New England, I have not been at the game. I've instead been at a wedding. I just what in the world is going on?
Were you there in 05 when they came to visit?
I don't know.
Or 05 it would have been. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess 05 I was still in college. I assume I was there, but I couldn't tell you if I was there or not. But I mean, it just
is there a real chance you've never seen the Patriots and Saints play live despite
there's
having
a possibility.
tickets?
There is a possibility that I've never seen the New Orleans Saints live at Gillette Stadium.
That's unfortunate.
Weird, right? Like it's just like a strange thing that it's like the Saints every flipping time the Saints are in town.
And it's always early. It's always like end of September or October where they're playing, which is wedding season too.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, all right. So we got that one as a win for them. So now they're up to 4-1. We're I mean, my God, dude. Felger and Maz.
If they actually start this, do we have a 4-1? Yeah, because I had the win over the Cowboys. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could see. Look, I could see the loss in the Cowboys. Even if you're 3-2 at this point, I feel pretty good about 3-2. You know what I mean? So, and that Skywalker makes a great point too. The 2013 game against the Saints, the Ortiz Grand Slam happened that night. So I was at the wedding. So incredible story. I was at the wedding. My buddy's father, not my buddy that was getting married, but one of my other buddies. That we were all like in a friend group and he was close. So the father was at the wedding. He drove his van around to the back of the reception. And I like went to the bathroom and I like see someone walking in from outside. I'm like, what's everyone doing? Like, oh, we're listening to the game. And I'm like, what? So I went outside. We listened to the game on the car radio. I like got out there as the Patriots were taking over to go down the field and listen to the final drive. Full with the Zoe freak out. I listened to that live outside on a car radio with the wedding going on behind us in the event. It was incredible. And then I went home and sat on the couch next to my sister-in-law and we watched the Red Sox game. And of course they won and it was unbelievable. But what a friggin' day for Boston sports. All right, anyway, so on to the Raiders. They're in Vegas again for the second year in a row, October 15th, in Las Vegas, 4:05, Jimmy G and the Las Vegas Raiders. Let me tell you something, man. Once again, you cannot lose to the Raiders. You can't, especially after what happened last year. You have to win this game. Go exercise the demons out in Vegas and get a dub.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to say about this other than, I mean, if they were competently coached last year, they win that game. Easily. They are competent. I don't even know if we could definitively say they are competently coached this season until we actually like see Adrian Clem doing his thing. Right. But they are better coached this season. Yep. And that alone, and the Raiders are worse. If this isn't a win, I will be upset.
Agreed. And that says hopefully Jacoby Myers goes over the Raiders. Next game is the Buffalo Bills, October 22nd, at home against the Bills, 1:00 game. This is a loss. I'm sorry, it's a loss. I think you get swept. More than likely, you get swept by the Bills this year, unless you pull a rabbit out of a hat in one of these games. To me, I think you probably end up getting swept by the Bills. But again, this is one of those things where, like, if you can be competitive with the Bills, even if you end up losing both games, if you can be competitive with the Bills, I think that you give yourself an opportunity to feel good about what you're doing, and maybe you even pull one of those games out. You never know.
I feel like ever since that like playoff game last year, I feel like last year they just inched a little bit closer. In both of the games they played against Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I think Buffalo's a little bit worse this year. Maybe. We'll see how the tight end there eases in. And I think the Patriots are a little bit better. And just like by random luck, the Patriots have to get one of these. Like the Jets and the Dolphins both beat the Bills last year. And I don't know how good they actually were. Like they got some real lucky wins over the Bills at home. I think the Patriots are due for one of those at some point, and I kind of think it comes here. I think the fact that this isn't a primetime game, the fact that it's just kind of plopped in the middle of October is like, all right, I don't know how up the Bills are going to get for this compared to, the game after DeMar Hamlin when they came back, or a Thursday night game, or a playoff game, or a Monday night game, or some of those. And it's like, all right, it feels like the Bills have locked in extra when playing New England recently. Might not happen in this one. Might be a little bit more competitive. And
you might be right. I think Josh gets up for these games. I think the Bills take it really serious. And they are kind of extra focused against the Patriots, partly because they got smoked by the Patriots earlier in his career, and so
and I mean, we were the big bad guys in the division. We're the enemy. We always will be to them, but let's see how this goes. I think they take this one. Here's the thing. I'm predicting a lot of wins here because I'm optimistic. They probably don't win all of these games, but you know what? Right. If it's 50-50, I'm giving it to New England right now. We don't know anything about what's going to happen. We don't know what the roster looks like. There's no reason to be extra negative about these. Give me the Pats at home against the Bills. Why not?
6-1, huh? Woo! Okay.
That's going to change week 8, but
so I have them. So the next game is in Miami, and I have them losing this game as well. I just think
that place is cursed. They don't win there.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
Right. So
the only way they win this is if Tua does somehow get hurt after week 2.
Right. No, good point.
I don't think we can't rule that out. But
it's a good point. We cannot rule that out, but we'll see.
Well, I think they split with Miami. My feeling in general here is going to be a split with Miami, a split with Buffalo, and a sweep of the Jets.
Yeah, I agree. My dad's texting saying that the beating the Patriots is like winning the Super Bowl for the Bills, both the players and the fans.
Yeah.
So
I don't know after what's happened in the last couple of years. I think they still feel some of that, but now with Aaron Rodgers in the division and Miami giving them fits last year, I don't know. The edge might have been taken off.
They may not feel that way anymore. Yeah, it's a good point. So, all right, next up, November 5th at home against the Washington Commanders. Come on.
Throw this this game, the Saints game, the Raiders game are all in that same boat of you just can't lose it.
Correct. Yep.
Unless Sam Howell turns out to be the second coming here. Washington is not a good team.
I agree.
And it might be, and this is another one. It can be as ugly as it gets. It doesn't matter how it looks. It matters that you get a win.
That's correct.
You lose a game like this, you got to make up for it by beating the Bills on the road.
100%.
Vince. And this one's on Fox, so a little bit different than the usual television.
Yeah. So, all right, next up. Week 10, I believe. Week 10? Mm-hmm. Yep, Week 10 in Germany, Frankfurt, Germany, against the Indianapolis Colts. This should be a bloodbath. Anthony Richardson against Bill Belichick? Come on.
Yeah, and there's a ton of Patriots fans in Germany. I think they're going to have a huge hometown environment here. I think it's going to be raucous. I'm excited for a little 9:30 football. I might have to get up a little early, maybe make some French toast or not French toast, not for a game in Germany. So they'll make some. No, I was going to say Belgian.
Some Venus Schnitzel.
Yeah, I was going to say Belgian waffles. That's not it either. All the breakfasts I like are from their enemies, but. Get up a little early, get some mimosas and some breakfast for this one. I think it'll be fun. This does concern me in that bad as the Colts were last year, that roster shouldn't have been quite that bad. That offensive line should be competent. They do have Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson's athletic. The Patriots are having issues stopping mobile quarterbacks. This can be like the Bears game was last year. If the offense doesn't hold up, it's end of the bargain. So the environment is there. This is a must win. It does scare me a little bit, but Bill does well against rookie quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson has his issues. I think this is one of those games where they can force a couple picks. You might come away from it thinking that was a little bit closer than I thought it would be, but you still end up scoring late. You make it a 27-10 win, even though it was 14-10 going into the fourth. And all right, we feel good about it. Got it back in this weeks 9, and I think there's four games you have to win on this schedule. That's the Saints, the Commanders, the Colts, and the Raiders.
Yeah. So you got to win those games.
Yeah. So that's what I have is not 8-2 going into the bye. I think things can get a little bit tougher late here, but yeah.
Correct. Yeah. 7-3 for me, but 8-2 for you. About the same. And look, I'll tell you something right now. If the Patriots are 7-3 heading into the bye, The NFL as a whole is going to lose their ever-loving mind. The New England Patriots, who everyone considered dead, if they're 7-3 going into the bye, people are going to go ballistic.
And what's their over under on wins?
7.5.
Yeah, like they could, and that's the way the schedule sets up for as tough as it is early. It's like, yeah, it's tough opponents early, but the Dolphins game is your home game right off the bat, and Jets like on the road, like that's going to be just like a loud environment. Like that's close enough. Like it's a rivalry game, but it's not the road aspect of it doesn't bother me as much for that one, especially with these guys. That Dallas is going to be a little bit more of a neutral site because Patriots fans are going to travel there. You know, Raiders, and then it's Raiders, Saints, Commanders, and Colts in there. Like it's as long as you don't start 0-3, 0-4, you should head into the bye with it over 500.
Yeah, agreed. So, all right, after the bye, week 12 at the New York Giants, once again in East Rutherford. Again, I know they played well last year, but like they're you should beat the Giants and Danny Dimes. You really should.
My concerns, there's two of them. It's Brian Daboll. It's a coach who comes from Bill's system, and we've seen him struggle against that, although he does do things a little bit differently.
Yep.
And it's Danny Dimes, a quarterback who can run pretty well. I think they're going to force some picks here. Like I think they should force some turnovers in a game like this. But I think this is one of those. This is a game your defense has to win for you.
I agree.
Because I don't know. It's one of those offenses that isn't that good but can hit your weak spots.
Right.
So you have to show that you've developed enough. A loss here would not surprise me at all. This is also the Sunday after Thanksgiving, which I think is fun. That'll be a nice little treat there. No Thanksgiving game this year.
Coming off the bye though, as well.
Yeah. So you get some rest, time to reset and work on it. I'll predict the win, but like I don't know. Between this and the Cowboys game, I think they only get one of them. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd pick this one. But losing one of those, I just get one win out of those two games, and I'm okay.
I hear you. Next game is versus the Chargers. Home game, December 3rd against the Chargers, 1:00. Look, I get it. I know. I understand that everyone loves Justin Herbert. I get it. I see it too. I love Justin Herbert too. Until the Chargers, forget about beating the Patriots. Take beating the Patriots. Take that off the table. Until the Chargers play well against the Patriots, how could you pick against the Patriots against the Chargers? I don't understand. Yeah. They've made him look terrible 2 years in a row. And as Dirk Blue points out, it is the J.C. Jackson game. He was on Good Morning. I don't know who he was on with NFL Network at some point talking about he wanted to pick off Mac Jones and this and that. I don't see it. I think that they win this game. And I think everyone's like, oh, no, it's a home game against them. You went into their stadium 2 years in a row and just absolutely punked them. And I think that you win this game.
And it's a team from LA playing in what do you call it? In
the 1:00 slot
in December.
Right. And the 1:00 slot.
Yeah, it's going to be cold early body clock. This is tough for LA. I mean, I was there for the playoff game back in January 2019. I watched how those players responded to the environment.
Yep.
We'll see what happens in this one. Big game for Brandon Staley. You got to come away from this one with a win. I think this is one of those games that could be huge for playoff seeding because the Chargers are going to be in that wild card race. And this could be the difference between getting into the playoffs and not. You got a home game against a team that's probably about as good as you. You gotta find a way to come out with a win.
Yep, agreed. All right, next up at the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football. I'm trying to go to this game. We'll see, but I think I'm trying to go to this game. I think you're better than Pittsburgh. I really do. I think you're better than the Steelers. Kenny Pickett, had some good moments last year, but I'm not sold on Kenny Pickett. And so I think the Patriots take this one. I have the Patriots at 10-3. Like, what is going on?
Well, and it's like Like, that's the thing. On paper, the schedule looks really tough, but then you look at some of the quarterbacks and the matchups and the home road, and it's like, all right, like if they can outside of the division, I think they can do something. And as long as they're competent outside the division, this is all going to come down to what they do in the division and how they handle those teams. If you go
Correct.
1-5 in the division, the season's over. Like, unless
Right.
you win everything else, you're done. This game is tough. Short week at Pittsburgh. They got a tough defense, but they've schemed well against them. Belichick has done well against Tomlin. So the last time they lost at Pittsburgh was at that game at the end of 2018.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because the end of 2018 they lost to him, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I get concerned because of how that game went, and I just have bad memories. That game left a bad taste in my mouth. The kind of end of season games in Pittsburgh. I'll take the win. I don't feel great about it. I do also want to pick up 2 comments here before we go on to the next one. First, Dark Blue Gold asked about Bumblebee uniforms for Pittsburgh. I don't know if they still have those in the rotation, but given that this is a Thursday night game, I bet we see the Steelers in their all-black uniforms, just like we did in that loss in 2018. And then Dan Bradley just says, "I wish I had your faith in Mac, LOL." I want to point out something here. I don't think all of this is faith in Mac himself. And this is kind of an argument I've been making all offseason. Mac Jones should be in the same tier of quarterback as a guy like Jared Goff or Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, we've already seen him play at that level.
Yeah.
And if he can play with that awareness, with a coach who knows what he's doing, and an offensive line I think arguably could be a top 10 unit this year, or at least a top 15 unit, depending on how well they're coached up. I think it's an offense that will work well. I don't know if that means Mac Jones is going to be good. I do think it means he can produce. And you're either, I don't know, look at the thing I keep coming back to is look at the Lions last year. That offense is not that good on paper, but they schemed stuff up and they made it work. Bill O'Brien doesn't have to be crazy, but if they can execute consistently and do the little things right, I think they're going to be better in the red zone with some of the stuff they do. And you might just get like an extra little bit out of them every game. And that'll be 100%. Enough to get wins.
Yep. I agree.
And Dan did follow up here, so I'll just kind of address this point too. He talked about Matt controlling his arm strength and saying it looks like it got worse. I see what you're seeing. I don't know if it got worse. I think what we saw from everybody last year is that everybody was indecisive. If you're indecisive and you don't know what you're doing, you can't put your full body into it because you're not fully committing to what you're doing.
Right.
No wonder his arm strength is going to be bad because his mechanics aren't fully there. He's not fully committing to the throws he's making. He's not reading it out. If you can improve half the arm strength, they'll be better. I don't know if he's a franchise quarterback yet. I don't know even with the success that I could see from this team that he'd be a franchise quarterback. I think that would still very much be up in the air depending on how he individually played. But I think the offense can be a top 20 unit next year, and the defense can be top 7 or 8, and that wins you a lot of games.
Right. Yeah, I think I would say even top 15. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were a top half of the team, top half of the league. So, and then the Chiefs game is next. So Dark Blue Gold does point it out. It's 11-day mini bye after the Steelers Monday Night Football game against the Chiefs, who will have played the Bills the week before on Sunday. That's a big game. But again, if we're picking it, I mean, I'm sorry. I love the Patriots. I can't pick against the Chiefs.
No.
I think that but again, you have 10 wins at this point. So I have them at 10-4. You have them at 11-3, assuming you're going to pick them to lose this game, I would assume. And I know we're being a little optimistic, but still, I don't think that we're being crazy. I don't think we have them splitting with the Dolphins. So we have them winning a Dolphins game and losing a Dolphins game.
Yeah. So, and it's, I don't know, if you watch the team last year, for as bad of an experience as it was, they were in almost every single game they played with some of the worst special teams I've ever seen and with some of the worst offensive coaching I've ever seen. The defense should be around the same level. I'm hoping. We'll see how it looks. You're relying on rookies to make a big impact, and you're trying to replace Devin McCourty. So it might be a little bit worse. It could be better. It should be around the same tier on paper. Special teams in the offense should not be worse. We don't know how good they're going to be, but they should not be worse. And if you between all that, I think you could add 4 or 5 points, for the Patriots for every game last year, and that helps your record a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you had 4 games that you almost won that you could have theoretically won at the end of the game with better coaching. So
yeah, and there's this people point out the Jets game too, Marcus Jones and the punt return, and what everybody forgets about that game is that the offense didn't just like only score 3 points. They struggled in the red zone, but they kept getting there and they missed a ton of kicks. They should have been up at the end. It shouldn't have come down to that. Special teams bailed out special teams. They played a good defense and struggled, but I think the offense just wasn't that good last year. We all know that. The offense still played well enough to win the game. The special teams didn't finish the job until the very last play there.
Yeah.
So
was that the game where the Jets averaged like 3 inches per play? In the second half or something stupid like that.
Shout out Zach Wilson.
All right, so the next game is just as a parent,
brutal.
I just want to say to the NFL, like, what the hell, man? Like, what the hell? You know, like, Christmas Eve night, Sunday night game on Christmas Eve. Come on.
Make it like a Saturday night game.
Right.
Drives me crazy. There's no need for this. I know I'm gonna have to make my Christmas plans around this game now.
Right.
And I can already see us. We're gonna be up past midnight from Christmas Eve into Christmas podcasting about this. So
it's 100%. This is gonna happen. It's an away game at least. Thank God.
Merry Christmas, Pat. And then you're gonna have to. Are you gonna have to? What time are you gonna have to get up Christmas morning after all that?
Oh, whatever time the kids get up. The kids are actually pretty good. They don't get up too early.
Whatever time Santa comes.
Yeah, well, I got to get to bed before Santa comes.
That's true. So, yeah, and the kids have to get to bed before then. So
I'm saying, So, so we'll see. I think I think Denver's going to be better this year. I still think that's a win for the Patriots. Denver. It's funny when they traded for Russell Wilson. People are like, oh my God, Denver's, and I'm like, Denver's not. I mean, they're okay, but they're not that good of a team. They don't have a great team.
People talk about the offensive players, and it's like, I'm not sure how much better their receivers are than our receivers. Like they're not great at tight end. Courtland Sutton's good, but he can't stay on the field. Jerry Jeudy is good, but he can't catch the ball. He's got drop issues, and it's like, all right, well, Devontae Parker and Courtland Sutton's not that different. And we'll see whoever Juju Smith-Schuster and Jerry Jeudy, are they that different? Hunter Henry's better than whoever the Broncos have at tight end.
Yeah.
And depending on what Russell Wilson we get, I don't think it's that hard to argue Mac Jones is better than Russell Wilson. Obviously, we'll see which versions of those two players we're getting by the end of the year. But and we're going to learn a lot about the Broncos this year because they are somewhat talented. The Broncos going 9-8 and sneaking into the playoffs is totally on the table here if they fix Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
They could also be 3-14, and you get to this point in the year and everybody's checked out, and this game gets flexed out of Sunday night. So,
right, it's a good point.
It's on NFL Network. This and the Colts game in Germany are both on NFL Network.
Right.
I don't have that in my TV package. I'm gonna have to find a way to watch.
I think I'm almost positive that they said that the Germany game is going to be on Prime Video as well. I'm almost positive that it said that.
Okay. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers game the Thursday night game will be on Prime. So
that's true.
Yeah, I'll take the Patriots in this one until we see more. I don't trust the Broncos after last year, and for as bad as the Patriots were, the Broncos were worse somehow.
Yeah, agreed. So next game is New Year's Eve against the Buffalo Bills, which we're both going to put down as losses. You had them winning the first Bills game, so obviously, we have to go from there. So.
Yeah, this is a loss. If you win it, that'd be awesome. But I think you just find one win against the Bills this year. Win a home one. Should be a cold game on New Year's Eve up there. Yeah. This could also be a really interesting spot in the season too, because it's like, all right, both of these teams are probably going to be in the playoff hunt to some degree. There's a chance the Patriots go into this needing it to be a must win. What I can tell you is this: you do not want to get, the last month of the season here needing to win games to get into the playoffs. You want to
Right.
be comfortable because the last four, Kansas City, at Denver, at Buffalo versus the Jets. Patriots can lose all four of those games, and it wouldn't shock me very much. So you need to have a nice little insurance that you've built up at the start of the year before you get to that point.
Right.
To feel comfortable heading into the playoffs. And we'll obviously see where they end up, but you'd like to see 2 wins out of this stretch. I'm going to take the Broncos game and the Jets game and leave the Chiefs and the Bills and say, I don't know if the Patriots are on that level yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. So, but yes. So, okay. Last two games season. I'm sorry, the last game of the season. And you kind of mentioned it already. It is home against the Jets. It's a week 18. It's to be determined. It could be the 7th. It could be the 6th, Saturday or Sunday. It just depends on what's going to happen. I'm really interested to see that one. Really, really interested to see that one. I don't know what's going to happen. I think the Patriots might lose this game. I think I'm actually going to have the Patriots losing this game because I think they're going to split with the Jets. And I had them beating the Jets earlier. I think they split with the Jets. They finished 11-6. And I think that, it's one of those ones where I think that the Patriots kind of not sneak in, but I think this gives the chance of Bills to kind of sneak in the playoffs, depending on where the Dolphins are, Yeah.
Well, I don't even know. I have no idea what this division is going to look like this year, except I think Jets and Bills should be playoff contenders. Dolphins and Patriots are wild card frisky teams.
Right.
But there's not even that big of a gap between the two tiers. I don't think the Patriots are winning the AFC East. I don't think the Dolphins would, but either one of those teams can finish second with the right confluence of events. The Jets can finish 4th. The Bills can probably finish 3rd if things really fall apart for those teams. So this could be interesting. This could be for seeding. This could be a big part in the division because it'll be Bills and Dolphins in the other game. Where is that game? Is that in Buffalo or is that Miami?
Which one? Oh, the Bills-Dolphins game?
Yeah.
That's the last game of the season?
Yeah. It's in Miami. This is the first time Buffalo has not ended the season at home in a decade.
Really?
But, yeah. So, Buffalo at Miami is all right. Patriots win, Dolphins win, could shake things up. Patriots win, Buffalo win, could give Buffalo the division. We'll see how things shake out then. Give me, I think on the grand scheme of things here, I'm going to say the Patriots go 7-2 in the home games, putting home in quotes because of the Colts.
Right.
And your loss, 7-2, and you lose the Chiefs and Eagles. So,
yep.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 7-2. Yeah. So, yeah, give me that. I'm going to take this one.
So 13-4.
I don't think they actually finished that high. I think
realistically
I know. It's 11-6. I think I basically took all the 50-50 games and gave them to New England.
Yes, which is what I have them at is 11-6, and I think that that's realistic. I do. I think that that's a realistic turn of events that they could finish 11-6 this year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's for as difficult as the schedule looks at points, most of these games are somewhat winnable. Heck, the Eagles and Chiefs games, I think, are winnable, depending on what team we see and how they play. At the same time, Commanders, losable. Saints, losable. Colts, losable. They can...
Right.
The Raiders, they lost to them last season. And that's the thing with this team. I feel like there's just so many unknowns. I think we should do this again in that week between the preseason and the regular season, because based on training camp, based on how they look in the preseason, I think we'll have a much better feel for what the rotations are going to look like, how guys have developed. If Tyquan Thornton takes a step forward, they could be good. If he doesn't develop at all, this could get rough. If Mac Jones is the same as last year, this could be rough. If the offensive line is the same as last year, this could be rough. There's a lot of ifs. I like the solutions they put in place this offseason, and we'll see how good they are.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And we'll see. I think, look, 11-6 is optimistic, but I do think that they have a good chance of doing that. And it would be pretty sweet. So we'll see. What the hell? Might as well. So that's what we got. Patriots going 11-6, not winning the division, but making the playoffs. And let me tell you something right now. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Whether you think the Patriots are going to go 11-6 or not, I don't care. Go on to FanDuel. Go on to DraftKings. Oh, we read that ad about DraftKings earlier that you'll hear in the podcast. But, the thing about put as much money as you want on them on the over. Just pound the over 7.5. Pound the over. Pound it. Okay? Because it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, and that's how I feel. Like, it would take some serious bad luck, some serious injury luck, which is possible. Like, they got
right.
Devontae Parker is not the pinnacle of health. Trent Brown is not the pinnacle of health.
Yeah.
Those are the injury situations I'm looking at, and we'll see what happens with like a Christian Barmore this year. But if you took last season's team and improved the coaching, then they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this year is. Obviously, it's different opponents, different schedule. We'll see how that plays into it. But this should be a competitive team, and I'll be incredibly disappointed if they aren't in the playoff race. I think that'll be a failure of a season if they can't be in the playoff race late in the year. And I think they don't make the playoffs, I'm going to be a little bit frustrated. I think Kraft will be frustrated.
Yeah.
And I think my final note on it is this. Let's remember when we looked at this schedule where the highs and lows are. Let's remember that it starts with hard teams and it ends with hard teams.
Right.
If the Patriots start 0-3 or 1-3 or something like that, it might not be because they suck. It might be because the teams they're playing are good. If they lose 3 of the last 4, probably because the teams they're playing are good and they got some tough games there. If they obviously play better or worse, that's part of it. But also, you can have the same team in every game of the season. You're going to lose more at the beginning and the end and win more in the middle. That's not coaching. It's not this team falling off. So let's remember that before we all start making a narrative at the end of the year that this team couldn't finish. It's no, they played hard teams at the end. So let's build up the wins in the middle where we can.
Right. And look, I still think that this team isn't going to compete for a Super Bowl. I think that even if they make the playoffs, which I hope they do, but again, the AFC is loaded right now. So if you finish 10-7 and don't make the playoffs, like you finish 10-7 and don't make the playoffs, like I think that there's a chance that happens, So, when you get into the playoffs and you're playing those truly best of the best teams in the AFC, that's the hard part. So, so we'll see. But, and yes, Dark Blue Gold, he says, will they be allowed to make predictions based off preseason again after last year's journalists were mocked for reporting on it and we're proved right? Yes, we will be. I think that if we look the way that we did last year at the beginning of this year, training camp, and it's going to be, there's going to be some serious problems going on.
This is going to be a 4 or 5 win team, and things are going to change in a hurry.
That's correct.
The case.
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm looking for in training camp. Let's see. All right. First week. How organized does it seem? How chaotic is it? Are people doing the basics and executing it? Can they get to the second phase of their install? Is Mac Jones getting killed? Things like that. And that's where, going back to the Mac Jones question, I don't know how good he's going to be. But we've always known the way he wins is with his mind. Bill O'Brien will give him more opportunities there and more answers there to help him translate stuff to the field. He's not going to be Tom Brady, especially not late career Tom Brady, who had all that experience.
Right.
But I think he can be a game manager if he can be the point guard. If Bill O'Brien dials up some X's and O's and says, hey, throw it here or here, depending on this one player, Mac Jones can do that. Mm-hmm. So they can put him in those spots. Yeah. The offense can, it'll be watchable. The offense is watchable. I'm going to be happy.
That'll already be an improvement over last year. So, all right, one more thing before we go. I don't know if you have one or not, but I'm busting back out this week in sports history because
I look it up.
Because there's a great one. I have a great one, and so selfishly, I'm like, it has to happen. So here we go
for it.
And now for something we think you'll really like. This week in sports history.
Okay, so here's the one today, and it's pretty wild. Okay, May 11th, 1919. It was a tie between the Giants and the Yankees, a 0-0 tie after 12 innings. Walter Johnson, who was the pitcher for the Yankees, retired 28 batters in a row. 28 batters in a row. George Halas was playing in the game as a batter, if you can believe that. I believe for Washington, I'm pretty sure that George Halas was playing for Washington. So, and then what happened was, I'm sorry, George Halas played for the Yankees. My apologies. Grounded out in the bottom of the 12th. And they, after the bottom of the 12th, they kind of met. The umpire said, all right, it's 6 o'clock. The city curfew is 6 o'clock on a Sunday. It was the first American League game played on a Sunday in New York City. And he said, okay, well, the curfew is 6 o'clock on a Sunday, so we have to stop, which was false. That was the case. But, and so officially it says it was called because of light, because of darkness, which it wasn't super dark, and they could have kept playing, but they stopped it after that. So Walter Johnson retired 28 players in a row and didn't get the win. It finished in a 0-0 tie after 12.
That's never happening again. That's record. I just looked this up. Mine on this day, May 11th in 1972, the Bruins beat the New York Rangers 3-0 at Madison Square Garden to win the Stanley Cup Final 4-2. I didn't know it was possible for the Bruins and the Rangers to meet in the Stanley Cup Final. This must have been in that era when divisions got real weird. I confess I don't know my NHL history that well. But
yeah, they used to rotate. It was a weird thing that they used to do. I think it was all one conference. I don't think there was two conferences.
Yeah, the NHL is a weird organization. I love hockey. Yeah. The NHL is bizarre. But hey, a nice little Bruins Cup there, and unfortunately not adding to that collection this year. But a little history for you.
Just terrible. Yeah. Terrible. Dark Blue Gold says Eurovision, which is the Super Bowl of televised musical competitions, is on Saturday night. And the rest of the world can finally vote. No, I did never heard of it before.
I believe all of the countries in Europe create their own songs and perform them. You could correct me there. Dark Blue Gold. Yeah. It's a whole big thing. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
I watch a strange amount of British TV, so I hear about it through that.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Sounds about right. So, all right. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's what we got. So the Patriots going 11-6, and who knows? Gonna compete for a championship this year. No, we'll see what happens. I do think that the Patriots will be better than people expect. I think they'll be better than people expect. I think that the schedule is tough, but not so tough that the Patriots won't have a chance. I'm obviously, because we have them going 11-6, right? But you look at the schedule and you see a Sunday night game. Two Sunday night games, one at home, one on the road, a Thursday night game, which I think everyone still gets, a Monday night game, and a Germany game.
Not everybody still gets the Thursday.
That's night. Right. They changed that this year, didn't they? Yep. Yeah. So, Monday night game, two Sunday nights, a Thursday night, and then they get the Germany game as well. So all in all, you're looking at 5, not primetime games, but 5 standalone games for the Patriots. And so, for those people that were sitting there saying, oh, the Patriots suck and they're not going to get any of these things, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that. Well, 3 games in a row, which is similar. It's similar to what happened this year. 3 weeks in a row, they're playing primetime games.
Yeah.
So,
same as last year. So, hey, the eyeballs are going to be, if this team is bad, everybody's going to know. And if it's good, everybody's going to know. So
that's right.
Put up or shut up time. This is the year where things you don't have to be great, but they do have to be good.
Right. And that's really what it comes down to, is that as long as they're competitive and good. And I think, Fitzy on the Six Rings podcast was talking about, the 2 C's, where it was, competent and competitive. Right. And I feel like that's what this team is going to be. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? They're not going to be the best team in the league, but they're not going to be stupid like they were last year, and they're going to be competitive in all the games that they play. And so, that's going to give you an opportunity to win a lot of those games. And again, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but I think that it gives you the opportunity, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. And it's the whole Bill Belichick thing. Force other teams to beat you because they're better than you. Force them to not make mistakes. And how long have we watched the NFL and just seen teams just do dumb stuff? That was the Patriots last year. Make other teams be that. That's, you got the Commanders in there, and you got the Colts, and you got the Broncos and the Chargers, and sometimes the Steelers. And it's like, all right, got a lot of teams in there that have just done dumb stuff against the Patriots and lost because of it. And just, all right, let's have something that come our way this year.
Agreed. So hopefully that happens, and we'll see how they go. But anyways, that's what we got for this week. We have a special guest next week coming on to talk about off season and kind of preview OTAs, which are coming up in a few weeks. And so tune in for that. That'll be Thursday night, right around this time, 9:30 or so on Thursday night. So tune in for that. I won't give that away yet, but you're gonna want to. He's a staple. He's a staple in Patriots media. You're gonna want to be here for that one. So
is it Bill Belichick's dog?
It is not Nike the dog. No, it is not. So his schedule conflicts. You know what I mean? I couldn't get him on the line. So
yeah, it's past his bedtime.
What are you gonna do? Exactly. So wait a second. One more stat before we go. Dark Blue Gold's throwing something in there. Jason Tatum of the Celtics is the only NBA player in the last 20 years to have 3 or fewer points through 3 quarters of a playoff game and then proceed to outscore the entire opposing team in the fourth quarter. That's one hell of a stat right there. That doesn't happen very often, but okay. There you go. So I like that one. So, that's it. Go Seas. Hopefully they win Game 7, and we can be talking about, the Eastern Conference Finals against probably the Heat, but whomever ends up winning that series too. So that's all we got. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it. And we'll be talking to you next week.